Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And I once again want to thank all of the witnesses for appearing. And it seems to me, based on all the testimony I have heard, is that the Ex-Im Bank has really worked very diligently and effectively at adhering to the 2012 mandates. I do have a question, though, for you, Mr. McCarthy. I would hope that you would return to Wisconsin at some point to engage in your birthplace's stuff, but that's not why we're here today. But I would hope that you would do that. I have been very impressed. I was impressed with your testimony with regard to the extent that the IG has looked into the operations of the Ex-Im Bank, even to the point that they have that there has now been an indictment of an Ex-Im employee. Sure wish that you guys had gotten to HSBC of their money laundering, drug dealers, the London Well, and stopped the 2008 crisis, but at least we got this one Ex-Im employee. I guess we have heard a lot of testimony that the Ex-Im Bank has shown favoritism for projects based on political connections and electoral politics. So I was wondering if you discovered any of that in your investigations.
So generally,
crony capitalism.
Generally, our investigations have been of outside parties perpetrating fraud and money laundering schemes against the bank. We haven't reviewed specific allegations that we've received in specific cases of there was some type of undue political influence or things of that nature.
You have not found that?
We've not found that. Now, we do emphasize is that the bank needs to make sure that it has in place the appropriate internal controls to make sure that things like that can't happen. If you have the proper policies in place, if you have separations of duties among employees, if you have procedures in place, it lessens the risk for that type of undue influence and also fraud cases.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Mr. Sheets from Treasury, again, I want to thank you for your due diligence. You're currently negotiating with other countries to limit or end export credit. Were we not to reauthorize the bank on the 30th of June, as some members of our body would like, do you think that countries like Korea or China will voluntarily end their credit support programs? The other, what is it, 59 countries are, if we were just to disappear from this space?
I think that would be very unlikely. And indeed, if we were to unilaterally curtail, I think that there is a risk, as I've indicated, that in negotiations going forward, we will have less leverage because we won't have anything to give in those negotiations. So I think it's important both from a level playing field standpoint that we remain engaged on this, but also if our ultimate goal is to further discipline export credits, a unilateral curtailment would very likely move in the opposite
Would it be catastrophic? Those are my words.
From a global standpoint.
Would it be catastrophic to our economy?
I think it would be very negative and adverse. How we define catastrophic.
All right. Well, that's my definition. I'm from Milwaukee, and so we're the manufacturers of the world. Boeing, all these people have issues with it. Boeing doesn't make any screws and bolts and nuts, and they come from Milwaukee. Small businesses. We've heard that 99% of the small businesses don't use Ex-Im Bank. But isn't it true that 89% of the loans you guys make are to small businesses, Mr. Hochberg?
Yes, they are.
Okay. What do you mean, Mr. Hochberg, when you say that the operations of the bank are demand-driven? And how do you supplement private finance? Can you walk us through that?
Certainly. Demand-driven is that companies come to us. For example, you and I visited Maxon Industries in Wisconsin. Yeah. There's a company that makes construction equipment. They come to us when they're trying to sell overseas and can't get financing locally, or their competitors overseas have government-backed loans, so they want to make sure they're on a level playing field. So when I say demand-driven, they come to us, they seek us out only when they need us, we can fill in a gap that the private
And, Maxim has 30 employees, and they've worked on projects like the Panama Canal with 30 employees in Milwaukee. Thank you, and I yield back.